Welcome to the Divine Lifestyles Podcast. I'm your host, Tara Magalski. Together with my guest experts, I cover topics ranging from cutting-edge healing modalities to hormonal harmony, to nutrition and plant medicine, to mindfulness and spirituality. My goal is to educate and inspire so you can create your own divine lifestyle. It's time to dive inward, rewire your brain, and heal from the inside out. Welcome to the Divine Lifestyles Podcast. I'm your host, Tara Magalski, and today I'm here with the brightly colored Elizabeth Carpenter. Elizabeth is a Chinese medicine practitioner and has served on the faculties of several universities. She is a hypnotherapist, a mind, body, and energy medicine expert, and she has helped many of today's acupuncturists and helped thousands of people recover their health and get into a higher emotional ground. I have personally worked with her, and I can vouch that her work is the real deal. And now she is sharing the healing secrets and practices that have changed so many lives in her new self-healing program, Hypnosis Journal Club, a guided self-discovery and self-healing journey into wholeness, which we're going to hear all about in just a few minutes. Thank you so much for being here, Elizabeth.
Oh my goodness, it's such a pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I just wanted to start off and tell everyone a little bit about how we found each other, because it's quite an amazing story. I was actually in La Validad, if I'm even saying that correctly, in Mexico. Drove from Tulum, Mexico, 2 hours to a small village in Mexico to meet with a healer. I met with this healer, and sure enough, we did this amazing process together. It was, she gives you like 10 different pages of what's going on in your body. And we were really trying to figure out what was going on with some of my infertility issues. And sure enough, at the end of our session, she says, I think you need to see one of my colleagues in New York. So I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to look up some people, and then I'm going to reach out to you in the next few days. Sure enough, she follows up. She gives me Elizabeth's information. So I call her up and we schedule a session. She has a wonderful intake process that's like super in-depth. And so I filled out all the forms. And then sure enough, during our very first, I think I bought a package of like 3. I think during our first session, by the end of our first session, you looked at me and you said, I'm seeing a pattern here. You have endometriosis. I'm seeing all of these patterns. I look through your intake, and now that we're talking, I want you to go see this doctor. Then you referred me over to Dr. Kofinas. Then I went to Dr. Kofinas, had, told him a bit about you and my story. And sure enough, about 3 weeks later, I was on the operating table getting an exploratory surgery, but I had a fibroid they were removing. So it was exploratory to see about the endo, but they were going in to remove the fibroid. And sure enough, I had very, very, very bad endometriosis. So here we are.
I call them as I see them, as the saying goes.
Yeah. So
I think you did.
Share this story.
I know you did Fertility Breakthrough Intensive, which is the deep dive, which is what you're talking about, the deep dive where we approach it from mind, body, and energy medicine, Chinese medicine, functional nutrition, chakras. We're looking through all these different lenses and arriving at like, what is the like through line here of what's going on, and what are the side issues that are not going to be handled by you and me, but might best be served by an MD. Not everybody needs to go and see MDs. The breakthrough will work anyway, but it starts there with the deep dive, and then we do the hypnosis, right? And the drill down nutrition session, and then we have all sorts of self-care action plans and prescriptions and things like that. It was beautiful to work with you. I totally loved
Yeah.
working with you, and I had forgotten that wild story. Thank you.
Yes. Yes, that was a wonderful, wild story. So I share that story with the audience because I want them to know how potent and powerful your work is.
Thank
So
you.
let's dive into your work. So, how did you get started in hypnotherapy and Chinese medicine?
Well, those are two really different questions. And it went Chinese medicine first. I was dancing before medicine. I was a professional dancer. I was an original member of the Joe Good Performance Group in San Francisco at the time. Later on, I went to the Trisha Brown Company in New York, and I retired from there about 15 years later. But so I was dancing in the company, and one day I woke up and I could not do a plie, which means bend my knees, right? Which is a
Yeah.
foundation of everything, right? In dance. And I was freaking out. And of course, I come from a medical family. So I, of course, was at an orthopedic surgeon, like, what is wrong with me? What's happening? And they were like, oh, well, you've destroyed your knees. This is it. It was just the final straw. This happened. And it's time for you to find a new career because you need surgery. So I was freaking out, of course, like freak out with a capital F, because I'm like 25 years old. This is in the 80s, and it's over. I've worked my whole life for this. It's over. And somebody in the company, they were about to hold auditions to replace me. And someone in the company said, you have to go to my healer. You have to go to my acupuncturist. And I'm like, uh-huh. Because acupuncture wasn't a thing back then. It was like something that happens in China. It was just not really in the United States so much. So I went anyway, because she just said, what do you have to lose? You're not going to walk for a while. You're losing everything. So what's she going to do to you that surgery isn't going to change? So I went. I'm telling you, got off that table. I could do everything, Tara. I could do everything. I didn't have a problem. And I asked two questions. Can I come back tomorrow? And can I use your phone? I went into her kitchen because it was happening in her house, because this was then. And I called the company. I said, I'll be in rehearsal tomorrow. I'm fine. And it was just this wild story, but that was huge. But the injury was really my ticket in the door, right? Because what happened was I was always a very sickly child, and despite the strength and determination, stamina, and robustness that you need to, rise through the ranks of professional dancing, I wasn't very well. I had digestive issues and gynecologic issues, and I think I was depressed and anxious, and I just had so many things that I didn't have any idea what to do about, and doctors didn't have anything to say. So I worked with that healer over the next couple years, as long as I was with that company, and it changed everything about my life. It was the most beautiful transformation of my mind and how I thought about life, and what is spirituality, and who am I, and how does my body work. And I learned about energy, and it just set me on a completely new path in every way. And it was so profound and life-changing that I thought, I'd always planned to go to law school, because one side of my family is medicine, the other is law. I always thought I would go to law school and then join the family firm and do all that. And I was like, oh no, I want to do for people what this person's doing for me.
Yeah.
I knew it, like my whole life changed. But I went on to dance for many more years. I went to Trisha Brown Company. I retired from there. And, the day I finished medicine, the next Monday, I think I started Chinese medicine school and in New York. And that was it. Then I was just off in a new life. I really, really wanted to be out of dance before I was forced out and too old to get roles and do things like that. So that's how I got into there. And then patients just taught me from there everything I didn't know, but needed to be helpful. So immediately after graduating, I started studying functional nutrition, and then I needed to be able to set bones, and not set bones, but reset alignment and skeletons and injuries and things like that. So I wanted to go to chiropractic school, and then I picked up Bowen, and then so it kind of went like that. And over time, something that I learned the very first day of Chinese medicine school, it was obvious to me in the beginning. It was obvious to me in my own experience. But as I went along, it just became more and more clear and nuanced and developed, was that, like I learned the first day of school, the 7 emotions are the primary cause of internal disease and dysfunction. And that awareness was always there, but in Chinese medicine, that's not what they're teaching you. They're teaching you mostly about the body and the energy pathways and how to use the points for physical issues. And the idea that people have mental, emotional, spiritual struggles is sort of like around the edges, because sometimes I call Chinese medicine in America Me Too medicine, like, we want to be like you. So we want to be as accepted as you. So we're going to put everything in compartments too. And now we're going to do this specialty and that specialty. But Chinese medicine isn't about that. It's about this energy through line that is your spirit, your mind, your emotions, all expressing through as you. The highest form of medicine, according to the ancients and in the classics, is to work with your shen, your spirit. And that the innkeepers were the original doctors in Chinese medicine, and people would come to be with the sage and to learn who they were, learn who I am, and to learn to be yourself and restore yourself to your natural order, which is what mental, emotional, and spiritual and wellness is about. Because there's a hierarchy of needs and wellness, and the energy systems are the great controls on the top. They're less tangible. And then we have the mental, emotional set, and then things that we don't get the message in our spiritual life. Okay, we get the mental, emotional. We don't get the message here. It concretizes. That consciousness concretizes in the body, and we become unwell. And I'm not saying that's the whole thing. You fall down, you break your ankle, you have a genetic problem, and then this happens, you get that exposure, and this disease gets stripped. I'm not saying that this is every time, but I'm saying that most of what's going on with us is that issue. It's something that we're believing about ourselves, something that isn't matching up with who we really are, our spiritual selves, our connection to source. However, we entertain that concept for ourselves from something we learned or something that we've discovered, doesn't matter. But that Tao, that way of being us, is the origin of most of our emotional jams and physical jams. And so this became so apparent to me, the more and more people that I worked with. And I would do my work from the perspective of Chinese medicine and other things I was studying and learning to help people on this level. And then I gave a depression patient, a homework to go on YouTube on the Mind Valley channel. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Channel? Yeah. And any speaker, any person that can move you, I want you to watch it. And she's just so shut down. She had no affect. She was so sad. Her long story, but somebody had just been in a mass shooting, and it was just, the depression just took a new. She came back next week. She was all jazzed about Marissa Peer and this RTT hypnotherapy. And I went, oh, well, what were you watching? So I watched the episode the video that she had watched. And I was like, this woman is doing in 2 hours what I'm doing in 3 months. I have to know this. I have to be able to do this. So without knowing anything else about her, I just tracked down how to do it. I was one of the first people that learned the RTT, rapid transformational therapy hypnosis technique from her. And I've just been employing it ever since. And I sort of do my own version of things now, mostly. But that's the kind of hypnotherapy that you did with me that is so completely beautifully profound and changing. But that was a long answer to an easy question.
Oh no,
Like you got it from it.
I love it. And I love, something that stuck out to me, and it was, dis-ease, and breaking down that word, disease.
Yeah,
It's dis-ease, not being in
100%.
harmony. And for someone that has had, some health struggles,
Sure.
I'm definitely better now. I really needed to look at all areas of my life. It wasn't just one specific sliver.
Right.
It was a holistic approach to rebalancing my hormones
Mm-hmm.
and getting my body into homeostasis. So, and it was meditation, breath work, yoga. It was all of it. It was,
Amazing.
yeah, it was all of it. And, it still is all of that. And it's such a lifestyle when you talk about, the work that you're doing now with your program. It really is. It's a wholesome approach. So, one thing I wanted to ask you, because I know you talk a lot about how easily it is to trigger healing in your life. And so could we just, for, today's sake, how easy is it for me to trigger healing emotionally?
That's a really great question because I fully believe, and I know from my own experience and from working with just thousands and thousands of people over the decades, that healing is always available to us, but we need to ask. And I think we're really trained in from a variety of inputs in our lives and authority sources that we somehow need to beg or go chase, please, please, can I get better? Please. Oh my gosh, please. Like we're kind of in this, begging at the table for healing or well-being or reprieve so often. And there's more of allowing and claiming and inviting situation. I believe that healing is most easily triggered through presence because we're always allowing or denying source energy, healing energy, innate intelligence, higher consciousness that is our programming, that's alive in every cell of our bodies and in every wave of our brainwave. It's always available to us, and it's a matter of our consciousness. I call it the consciousness factor. Healing is a consciousness upgrade, whether that's healing in your body or, like you asked, emotional healing. These are energy patterns. And through presence, however we do presence, and I have my ways that I think are the easiest and simplest to access that energy and trigger healing. And we can I'll get there in a sec. But it is through presence that we begin to make that space. In Chinese medicine, we say the Shen, the spirit, um, are like birds that they want to nest in the heart, but the heart must be empty or there's no place for them to land. And when the heart gets full, and we think about our emotional jams or issues or obsessions and worries and confusions and big explosions of energy, like angry outbursts and or just simmering resentments, our heart is full of something else. So this ability to become present, and there's so many gateways to presence, and we can do one right now if you like, and your audience can participate too. When we become present, then we open that door to emptying so that shift of consciousness can come in. And consciousness is really a new energy, a different energy. So I think one of the easiest ways to become present is certainly through the breath and through an intention with the breath. And asking, it's like in the prayer to be to receive an answer. Jesus says in the Christian tradition, he says, knock and the door is open, ask and you shall receive. And so many people, I'm asking, I'm like I'm not getting. But when you go back in the language, as a religion major in college, so I was like, why is this all so screwed up? I wanted to ask some questions. And so I chose to study religion and origins of religion. And, Jesus spoke Aramaic, and in that language, it's that proclamation or that advice is more like, ask a question and be surrounded by your answer. And this is what we hear in manifestation all the time, right? This is what I call it rehearsing your future, right? This is, I want to feel peace, and so I invite peace. I intend peace. I claim peace. Our words, we speak things into existence. The power of our words brings what we need. I'm so angry. Yeah, now I'm getting angrier because I'm saying that I'm angry. So if you want, we can do like a little quickie experiment if you wanted to try that. So I like to, I borrowed this from a chi master, Chenny Lin, and he has what he calls SMILE, which is an acronym for Start My Internal Love Engine. So smile and take a breath. And if you want to close your eyes, you can just go ahead and close them. Beautiful. And as you smile, you're just starting your internal love engine. And put your attention into your heart or your chest area and just breathe. Take a beautiful breath into yourself, a nice deep one. And begin to breathe slowly, deeply, evenly, in and out of that space. And as you do so, just hold in your mind a sense of peace and well-being is coming over me. And as you breathe slowly, deeply, evenly in and out of your heart space, as you take in spirit, inspiration, inspire, bring, allow, invite in spirit, that rejuvenating, clearing, cleansing breath, new energy. As you inhale, whenever it feels right, just remind yourself, peace and well-being is coming over me. And as you exhale, whenever it feels normal to do so, just be aware of energy changing, breaking up, emotions letting go, like a screen dissolving. You can feel shift in your energy. And go ahead and take one more lovely breath right into yourself, claiming that peace. I'm inviting peace in with this breath. Thank you. And one beautiful exhale, allowing change, nothing forced. Whatever's happening is perfect. And whenever you're ready, just open your eyes and Let me know how that feels.
Hmm. I love that you did this exercise because a few months ago I was dreaming and I woke up to write down Power of Presence. And that is the name of my program that I'm
Oh, I
launching.
love it, Tara. That's beautiful. That's really beautiful.
So I just, when you were saying this, I was like, yes, like download, download, download. I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was feeling. It was a morning hour, right before you wake up.
Yeah.
And I got up and I just wrote it down. I kept hearing, write it down, write it down, write it down. So I just got up and wrote it down. And that is definitely just so powerful for me because a lot of times we forget,
Oh, yeah.
and we just forget how easy it can be if we just stay present and stop thinking about the past and thinking about the future.
It is. Although I
Thank
would
you.
argue, oh, you're so welcome. I would argue that staying present is one of the bigger challenges. And that's
Yeah.
what uh, just the habit of working with and tuning into your energy yields over time. And it doesn't even have to be a long time, but a regular practice, whether that's 3 minutes a day, twice a day, or it expands into something very robust like a serious meditation practice. But having some tools that invite presence into your life and teach you to manage energy within yourself, to check in, to be able to perceive it, to sense it, and direct it. This is the hugest skill that there is. And I think, especially in this time, because this is how we learn to stay present. This is how we learn to separate the now in my mind where I'm freaking out about what I'm afraid is going to happen, or I'm berating myself or being for something that I've done, or railing against some situation that is in my life, or feeling resentment towards this other, whatever. That's all in the past, right? That's all behind us. That's somebody else's affair, or it's our affair and it's already happened, or we're out there in the looking ahead. So it can be confusing to learn to separate. Yeah, but I'm thinking it now, right? I'm thinking that now. That makes it the present. No. So it could be a little challenging to stay present. But I think once we get very, very connected with our own energy, and I call it connected within. I have a whole course about that. When we become connected within, it becomes automatic. And this presence becomes how we live. And this is a very intuitive and flowing way to live, which has a beautiful emotional range to it, an extraordinary emotional range, but we don't get stuck so much. And we certainly don't get hijacked so much by things we're afraid of, or what the future is going to hold, or
Yeah.
regrets and resentments and things of the past. It's it inch by inch, level by level of creating this skill of presence and energy connection in our life. These old habits of how we do life fall away, and this much more satisfying and generous and forgiving and mm, satisfying, connected energy
Hmm.
replaces it. It's a different way of living.
Yeah, it's definitely what it feels to me. Can really get into the flow state easier.
Much easier.
And right, you're not pushing, you're not grabbing, you're not forcing.
Hmm.
And this has been a lifelong um, lesson for me. being that I'm like my dosha, I'm like a pizza, I'm like a pusher, I'm like a producer, I'm like a doer, I'm like a Virgo, and so I
All
have all those things.
wonderful things. And I would call that your energy signature. You've got that energy signature. That's what you can take for granted. That's in your back pocket. You don't have to work at that.
Yes.
So when it
Let's
gets
actually
balanced
talk
out.
about that. I've got an exciting offer for all of my listeners. The free Divine Daily Practices video series. Get simple practices to release anxious thoughts, sharpen your intuition, and rewire your nervous system in less than 10 minutes a day. Come on over to my website at divinelifestyles.com/divine daily practices. And over the next week, you'll receive a complimentary self-care system to drop into your authentic self and activate your divine intuitive wisdom. I hope you enjoy. Let's talk about energy signatures, because that is one of my questions that I wanted to dive into. So there's 5 different types, right?
Well, yes, that's so. And I think a lot of people in the Chinese medicine space might use the word type.
Okay.
But I prefer the word energy, 5 energies. I think my colleague Randy Lewis calls them the 5 tendencies. I've heard Don Edom call them the 5 rhythms. These are energy patterns or energy proclivities, shall we say, or you got your dominant energy, and then you usually have 1 or 2 satellite energies. But there are 5 basic energies that represent how things work in the natural world and how societies organize themselves for sustainability. And the language is borrowed from nature because that's what the ancients observed so intensely to begin seeing how this plays out, in the rhythms of the solar system and the rhythms of the climate and the rhythms of the earth itself and the rhythms of human beings and the individual systems of the body, and all the way down, 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 down into the small structures, and all the way out into the greater orchestration of life and existence. So these are the 5 energies, and we know them for their natural operations, with words like water, wood, fire, earth, and metal. We have different words in different systems, but those are the 5 primary energies. And the Chinese, about 5,000-ish years ago, put this together with the human body and the human experience to so that all of the organs and energy systems of the body, all the tissues, like your hair, your blood, your tongue, every part of your physical being is represented inside these energies, as well as each one of those energies has an aspect of your mental processing, your spiritual signature or soul, your soul expression in your life, your emotional profile. Each one of the energies holds something of those, along with all these physical activities. So your personality, and that's why sometimes people call it a type, but I think that's sort of very static. That's my type, like your Myers-Briggs type or something like that. Um, but when we think of it as an energy, this is sort of like, oh, this is like I call it a signature. This is my fundamental signature. This is my home base. Like I'm a very water home base. And that's the deep, soulful person, the deep thinker, the philosopher, the spiritual seeker, the person who's really intuitive and empathic and reads energy, like the depths. Water is your depths.
Mhm.
um, but then on either side of that is metal, for example. That's how you organize and how you build. It's the architect. It's how you, you know, decide things and value things. So this is where like a lot of self-esteem and self-worth is located in your metal aspect. And then on the other side, I have a lot of wood. Wood is like, let's go. Come on, make it happen. You know, let's create that. Let's do that. Let's get it done. It's very like, I know, let's go. You know, so I'm a primarily water, but I have that energy of wood to
That's
be
great.
articulate and get it done, and that mental energy of like, oh, let's plan this out so it works and can be sustainable. Right. The other energies are fire, and the fire is more like love and expression, and those are the people who have fire as their primary signature. Those are people everybody wants to be around. Like, oh, I want to be with so and so. Oh, let's go to the parties at their house. Like let's have fun. And like everybody loves fire. They're so bubbly and gregarious and just a joy to be around and make you feel happy and that kind of energy. And it's how you show up in the world. What's your
Yeah.
energy out there in the world? That's your fire. And then what am I forgetting? Earth. And that's our
Earth.
grounding, our centering, and
Mhm.
our boundaries, right? That's the earth mother, right? How am I going to nurture this? How am I going to hold this space? Um, where's safety here? Where my mommy needs getting met, kind of thing. And so they each have these uh, parts of your body and systems are connected into each of the natural elements, but your energy signature is a lot of your personality and why you are the way you are. Like, I just said that I'm very water. So it's like, yeah, I want to go to the party too. And I want to stand there. I want to have one deep conversation with one person and then maybe two more of those. And then it's time to go home because, you know, I'm the person who really loves taking my own counsel and being with a book and finding beauty in a work of art and thinking and reflecting. Too much energy in the room. It's like, well, I can participate and I can have a lot of fun. I have plenty of fire, but I'm going to be exhausted later.
Yeah.
Next day after the party, I won't be talking. I'll be saying to my husband, I need a day off from
Yeah.
interaction,
I'm
please.
just, I am so fire, but I'm becoming a little bit more. I just want quiet, self-reflection.
Well, that's
Um,
beautiful fire water balance,
yeah, I don't know if I have
right?
a ton of water in me, but I wanted to talk a little bit about the mind body medicine and being the art and science of attention.
Ah,
What does
yes.
that mean?
That is such a great question. So, mind body. Well, when you think of mind body, what is your idea about it?
Mind body for me is I feel like I have a lot of intuition. Really I find that if I'm thinking or stressed, that I will feel tightness in my body. So really paying attention to that, being present. So that's kind of what I think you're saying.
Uh huh.
Um, but for
Well,
me,
body
it's
scanning and becoming
yeah,
aware of the sensations in your like mind, mentally aware, body. I'm experiencing this emotion in my body. That's
yeah,
the aspect of mind body connection that you just revealed. And it was very well put with a beautiful example that probably everybody can relate to. I know I can. We've all been there. But that is certainly part of what mind body means. And um, w- the way I'm using it in that what you mentioned about the art of attention, the art and science of paying attention. Mind body is as was demonstrated in your example, it's the connection between what's going on in the mind. The mind creates the emotion, right? We think something and then we respond to what we're thinking, and that's the emotion that we feel, which also sets off an entire cascade of chemistry, nerve reactions, neurotransmitters, like all sorts of signals are happening in the body in response to what the mind is thinking. So that's one aspect of mind body, is understanding the power of thought feeling, but especially thought, because things mostly get started with a thought or
Yes.
subconscious mind belief. Subconscious mind is where we hold our beliefs, and what we really think underneath what we tell ourselves we should be thinking and know. Wink, wink, right? So the subconscious mind is so much more powerful because that's the real deal. I always say you cannot, put white paint over graffiti and not see through, So, so the art and science of paying attention, when we can work with that dynamic that I was just describing, of seeing that connection, knowing that connection, and harnessing that connection for what we want, we can rehearse a reality that we want to experience in our bodies and make it so. So in the hypno healing audios, like you've experienced, I'm exciting someone's mind to have an experience, and the brain can't tell the difference between what's really happening and what you're imagining. So there's plenty of studies that show that, from muscle size, from thinking about doing bicep curls to actually doing bicep curls. And many other studies show that the brain is tricked by the imagination. So we can use the mind-body connection for healing, because we can set up experiences that operate under the spiritual law of assumption. If you remember what that is, if you're aware of that, I'm acting like I have this. I'm acting like this already exists. I'm feeling this already happening. I'm feeling it right now. I'm completely immersed in this. In fact, like a virtual reality thing that you purposefully create in your own mind. And that causes so much to happen inside the body that the body is like, oh, well, we have new instruction from the brain. We're not going to do it this way anymore. No, okay, we got to go over here now. This is how we do it. And so that's a consciousness upgrade that carries through the body. So we paid attention. We consciously paid attention, building out this fantasy, if you will, about how things are. And boy, did we fall for it. We really lived it while we were hearing it in our ears or seeing it in our minds, and our body gets to work on our behalf. So that's one aspect of mind body, a connection that I think is really beautiful. I think about the placebo effect. Every drug that gets to market has to beat the 30% placebo effect. Is if I think this is happening, then I actually will get well, if I think I'm taking real medicine. And conversely, the other thing is true. The nocebo effect is the cousin of the placebo effect, the evil twin, right? If I if I rehearse this negative experience or this horrible health outcome, my mind is powerful. My body is responding to that message. Is it blocking healing? Is it actually constructing that thing that I'm scared of or don't want? And I'm not. I want everyone who follows you and loves you to be aware that under no circumstance ever, ever, ever do I think that it is accurate or appropriate or right in any way to blame oneself for illness. This is not what I'm saying. stuff happens to us for all sorts of reasons that are beyond our control. But our response when we leverage the power of the mind-body connection and allow consciousness to work for us favorably, that's very powerful. It's one of the most powerful healing tools. I mean, I've had people come for work where we, who can't use one part of their body, and we show them the map from the other side, and it restore. Like, you could build things out based on what you believe, right? So, and what the brain already knows how to do. So that's part of it. So I think that's very important. But attention, medicine, I would argue that all medicine is attention, whether it's surgery that's acting on a specific part of your body or a drug that's targeting a particular cell receptor. That's attention. You are paying attention to that cell. You are paying attention to that body part. Or an acupuncture point, or an herb, or a diet, or your meditation practice, or your breathing work, or all of it is attention, right? So medicine is the attention we pay, and the attention that we pay consciously is very, very, very powerful. This accumulates
Yeah.
into what our
Yeah.
life actually is.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the perfect segue into my next question, because it's on this theme when we're talking about energy medicine. And I really want to know, we talked about some notes, and I was like, oh, this is so interesting. How does one master sensing and directing their energy? Right. And then the second part of my question is, you talk about the four dimensions of your energy and how that the quality of your life is found at that intersection of the four dimensions. So talk about this a little bit more, because I think it's just an amazing perspective.
Sure. So, the first thing that popped into my mind was your download that you had, the power of presence. Presence is the gateway drug, right? That leads you into this like extraordinary experience. So whatever that vehicle is going to be, and the little mini exercise that we did with just breathing and focusing on the heart and intending a sense of peace to come, and whatever energy pattern had been there to dissolve. That is a way to become present, and I'll ask you, after you did that, did you feel like alive and alert internally?
Yeah, I felt very good. I felt more peaceful.
Yeah. And that same method, and there are many methods, but can lead into presence where alertness is sensitivity, like your spidey senses are going up through whatever that gate was that you used to become present. And I love the heart brain connection, which is what we used to get there. When we focus and breathe into the heart space, the neurology of the heart communicates up into the brain and causes different parts of your brain to light up and become available in a more robust way. And the setup is for thriving and well-being. So more mental clarity, and at the same time, more what's called coherence, or an entrainment of energy, different parts of the brain and the feeling state to be coordinated, so that you experience more well-being and you experience more functioning, literal functioning in the systems of the body, hormones, nervous system, etc. But
And the
anyhow,
mind
through
and the
presence,
mind heart coherence, right?
exactly.
So we're all striving for the greatest distance there is between the head and the heart.
I love it. Oh, that's a good one. Talk about write it down. I'm gonna write that one down. Yeah. So when we use whatever tool we're going to use to become present, then we have opened the door to the interior world. And once that interior world is open, we are free to poke around and see what's there, open any room we want to. So, what I do a lot with people on a healing journey or a self discovery and get right with myself journey, whatever kind of journey we're going on, and those are usually all wrapped up in one journey that
Mm-hmm.
we take together, we're learning to go inside and see what's happening now, feel, sense what is happening, and then use that powerful mind to not just explore it and sense it, but to direct it, to cause something that we want to happen inside ourselves. So, I think a really common experience of this is like in yoga nidra. Have you ever done yoga nidra? Yeah. Okay. Um, or even more commonly, sometimes at the end of a yoga class, an instructor will do like, and now you're relaxing your scalp, and now you're relaxing take you through your body, and you go boop, 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 and relax. That's an example of directing, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's an example of directing. I'm going to think about this. I'm going to call my attention. Attention is medicine. I'm going to call my attention here, and oh, I have an instruction. My instruction is relax in that case, right?
Yeah.
So that's sensing and directing. And we can become quite masterful at this. And in a lot of my work with people, especially in the next level healing journeys or programs, I have a program, and a program is like 3 months and a journey is like 6. Um, One-to-one option, we do a lot of going into your interior landscape, finding answers, allowing source or your guides or higher self or higher consciousness, God, whatever you believe, whatever is making sense, the universe, Om, whatever is your language of choice, allowing that information to download in for the answers that we want in life, to why is this happening, to what to do about this now, and to engineer an experience of change for ourselves. So coming into the interior landscape, we enter this different brain state. We're always living in this, our alert life is in the beta state, and we come down into alpha, and sometimes a little bit below, but we come down into alpha state as I lead people inward. And anyone can learn to do this for themselves. And it is a skill that will pay you more than dividends over a lifetime to understand what's going on, find the clues. Where and what is the change I seek? How will I know? Right? This kind of information to come in. It's like I said earlier, we are always allowing or blocking source energy to infuse our lives and guide us and heal us. So, this business of sensing and directing energy begins with presence, which leads to connection, which leads to the miracle of a consciousness upgrade, which leads to change, because consciousness carries throughout your life, carries. And once you know something so profound like that, you can't unknow it. It's like seeing something beautiful and moving. You never forget that. Or inputting something you wish you never let your brain entertain, like seeing a horror movie that you can't forget or something like that. This stuff sticks, right? So once you have this skill and you get a consciousness upgrade, as many or thousands of them or a single one or whatever it is. You can't unlearn that. It infuses every dimension of your life. You become a new person, upgrade by upgrade. It's a beautiful
I
thing.
love that. So, as we're closing out, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about the intersection of the four dimensions, and then I want to hear all about what you're launching.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I would love to invite your people to explore. I am
Yes.
sure it will be right up their alley. So the intersection is, if you think about your life in the four main energy domains that you live at, you have your spiritual energy, your physical energy, your mental energy, your emotional energy, and everybody knows what physical energy is. I'm tired, I'm not tired, I feel strong, this is great, I'm flexible, but we know how to describe our physical energy. We know how to describe our emotional energy pretty well too. Oh, I'm angry. Oh, I'm so happy, oh, I just love this, like I'm delighted, right? We have a lot of words for that. Our mental energy is how we're thinking, what we're thinking, and the process that we're using in that mental cogitation. And then our spiritual energy, our connection with others and with each other and within ourselves and to the divine, to source, right? So if you think about it like the Olympic rings, they're all interlocking. You don't get one without the other. You don't just have your body, right? You don't just have, your mood or your temperament. You don't just have your spiritual life. You have a life. So your life is, you're living at the intersection of these four rings, right? So this little place here, that's your quality of life, right? If you are managed to be a very joyful person and you have a debilitating illness and are bedridden, that's a very different intersection than somebody who is maybe, um, going to their birthday party, or somebody who is, like out on vacation sailing or something like that, right? So we have a range of experiences in our lives and many different circumstances. And it's the way these four energies come together that make up how and what our life feels like to us and what it is and what we say, how we would describe our quality of life. And we can be that intersection point can be either, you brought up the word coherence. It can be a very coherent energy where, wow, I really feel like I'm in the flow, right? I am accepting, I am moving through, everything is flowing for me regardless of my circumstances. That's a very coherent situation when you got all your engines connected there. And then you can be very incoherent. And incoherence is described in science as our heart energy and our brain energy is not well entrained. We're scattered. We've got, things pulling one way and things pulling another way, as opposed to things are moving in the same direction. I don't know if that is
Yeah.
making
Yeah,
sense,
that's a
but
beautiful way to describe it because when you feel it. So it does feel like a oneness. Um, so yeah, that totally makes sense. Can
so I
you share
really
with everyone about
So,
your
yeah. So,
program?
what do I really feel about that is that when we focus on the energy through line, when we focus on the intersection, which I would say is sensing and directing energy through presence, right? When we're living in that intersection, we not only have much more control over the four rings, but they all seem to go better and better and better, or at least we can roll with what's happening. Whereas when we're trying to like, okay, now I have to do this for my mental health, and now I have my spiritual practice, and now I have to do this for my health, and now I have to do this for my emotional state. And, we're managing problem. I have a problem here, and I have a problem. It was like, I'm going to chase my problems and fix my problems. This is exhausting and leads to, I think, fairly incomplete solutions for people. But when we're focusing on that energy through line, that am I in coherence? Am I not in coherence? The goal is to spend more and more time in coherence, present, alive, sovereign inside ourselves, because we're plugged in. We got the hotline, right? To source into our own energy. This connection and management of our energy just makes life a very, very different experience from, I have 20 problems to solve. How am I going to do that? It's exhausting. Yeah. So that's my
Amazing.
answer.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, you could go on for days, and I love it. We could do part 2, part 3, but I do want everyone to
Would
know
love to.
about your program. So talk a little bit about that. We have a few more minutes.
Sure.
So please tell us about the Hypnosis Journal Club and where people can find you online to learn more about your work.
Oh, perfect. Well, let me start with that because I have a very bad habit of forgetting to tell people how to find me. It is www.elizabethcarpenter.com. And that's my hub. And there's a newsletter you can sign up for called the Oriens. The name of my company is Oriens, which means it's a Latin root of the word orientation. It means to face the rising sun, new day, transformation. It's the dawn hours, the pre-dawn hours when the sun is just about to break for a new life. So Orien's Living newsletter, and you can receive an invitation to Hypnosis Journal Club when the next round opens. We're in beta right now. And but elizabethcarpenter.com is the easiest way to find me. You can message me there, sign up for the newsletter, book a session, etc. Or book an introductory consult. I have a free consult, and that allows us to just like talk about you and talk about what's possible and how we might get you where you want to go. All right, that's out of the way. So I am so excited to launch something that has been in my heart and I haven't done yet, called Hypnosis Journal Club, a guided self-discovery and healing journey into wholeness. And so what we're doing is giving people that morning and evening practice that is really, the terra firma underneath you. I think most of us know that we need some kind of me time each day, although it's sorely overlooked because we go straight to social media, straight to the news, straight to the job, straight to, making coffee, straight to, we're always boo, 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 boo. But it's really that check-in time with ourselves and with source that allows us to thrive. So Hypnosis Journal Club does that. It's Chinese medicine based, but we're bringing in the work of Louise Hay and neuroscience and NLP and other energy work like the chakra system and many ancient and living spiritual masters and just things that I've found to be so pivotal for myself and for my patients over the decades. These are the sources of wisdom that are coming in to infuse this. What are we doing? So each month we are exploring this version of Hypnosis Journal Club is based on the 5 energies that we talked about and the Chinese medicine organ systems. So there are 12 of those for all the primary organs of your body, and each system has a body tissue, a fluid, hormones, glands, and other physical things connected to it. An aspect of your soul expression, or heart mind, I call it that. Your heart mind, your mental process, how you figure things out, and an emotional aspect. So these are the things that we'll be exploring in your journaling. So in the mornings, you listen to a guided meditation audio and work with the prompts that I have given you for 15 minutes of journaling to get to know yourself, because self-awareness is the cornerstone of spiritual growth and developing well-being. Every spiritual path, whether it's an established religion or it's prayer and meditation or it's seeking in nature, whatever it is, begins with self-awareness. So we're exploring these dimensions of your life. For example, we're going to enter metal season now. We're entering it right now, and it'll take us through November, December, and that's the lungs, the bowels, the skin, the body hair, breathing, how you form bonds in relationships, how you let them go, how you handle disappointment, how you value yourself and others, how you create value, structure in yourself, and in your world. What else is metal? Your ability to speak your truth and know your truth, discover that truth, clear mind. So metal. We're on metal. November is lungs. December is bowels. So it's all about how we let in and let out things in our lives, psycho-emotionally, spiritually. So that's the journaling. You have prompts every week. You have new prompts to explore your mental energies, your body, your nutrition, every aspect of your physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual experience that is inside that organ network is highlighting that month. 12 months, 12 organs, one network per month. So if you hang in for a year, you will move through your entire life pretty much.
So is it a membership?
It's a membership. Yep. And then in the evening, so you're discovering about yourself in the morning in your journaling meditations. And then there's a little section in the end that says code it in, and you bullet point your key takeaways from your journal that day. And then you can take those with you into your hypno audio at night, because I've made a hypnosis audio that's about 15 minutes long most times, and sometimes shorter. Try not to make it very long. And you listen to that while you drift off to sleep, which is speaking to your subconscious mind. And it is just like we talked about in the mind-body, when you asked me about mind-body and energy medicine. It is speaking to your subconscious mind to code in, to hardwire in, to show your subconscious mind what thriving is for that system, right? So it's this explosion of well-being. As you're listening to the audio, you're becoming more and more like relaxed, but not necessarily sleepy, although sometimes people fall asleep in their hypnosis audios, and I'm like, great. Even deeper. It's sinking in there. But that is seeding your deepest level of belief and awareness with this information that it needs to thrive and build out what you do want. And you'll take any discoveries that you want to really bring forward in your life into that and look at them and read them before you listen to your audio, and then just relax. And when the audio instructs you, and you have the opportunity to just touch on that thought, and then the audio takes it into your programming, your self-programming. So that's how it works. You have 15 minutes in the morning and up to 15 minutes at night. I mean, you can listen to your audios or journal as much as you want, but that's a morning and an evening practice that is transformative, would be the word that I would choose. I do it with patients all the time. In fact, I have a mentorship program that is all about that. I always have about 10 people that I'm mentoring, and we're open now. We have 3 new spots that are opening in November, actually, for mentors. And I do this on a personal level. I create all of this for people individually based on our monthly session. So that's another way to do it. But Hypnosis Journal Club is a low-cost group way to do it. And then there's like a Slack community to talk about prompts. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing all
Tara,
of this amazing wisdom.
And
I can't wait to continue our conversations offline because we have lots of fun things we're going to collaborate on in 2024.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You're such a beautiful soul. And this is such a wonderful thing that you're doing with this podcast. I'm really happy for you. And I know that everyone who follows and listens to you is so blessed. So really good.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to this episode of Divine Lifestyles Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you get your episodes. If you really loved this episode, screenshot it and share it on social media. It will help us to continue to make an impact. With gratitude and love always, keep illuminating your path.